What's up guys, welcome back. We're back here with Darcy's Patrol. So today, getting our Plex hooked up to this thing, and then we'll have a hit at the cold start, and then we'll start looking at getting some timing into this thing. So where we left off last time, we're at 278 at the wheels on gate pressure, which was just over 10 PSI with no timing in it yet. So that's still just haven't really even touched the timing at this stage. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. Today we're going to sort out timing, start wanting some boost in, and then hopefully end up going to our e85 tune as well. So let's see what sort of power we can get out of this thing. The other thing that I would like to try today is actually advancing the intake cam a little bit. Obviously this car is very heavy. We really want that power curve sort of as low as we can get it with this thing. RBs being rev happy engines and this thing being a really heavy car. We sort of want to try and make that power as low down as we can. Problem I have though is obviously me having not built the engine, I didn't get to do all the piston and valve checks during the assembly process. Being the cams are so huge, I have no idea how much advance we'll be able to get away with before you run into piston and valve issues. So when Darcy gets here, I'm going to try and get onto the engine builder and see if he actually did check at full advance and retard the piston and valve, or whether he just checked it where it is, and see whether he can completely confirm whether we can actually get away with a bit more advance. But if not, I'm not going to do it because it's not worth the risk. But anyway, I would like to just to move that power curve nice and down as far as we can get it. But anyway, it is what it is. If I can't get it done, it is what it is. It'll still make good power. But yeah. Righto guys, we've got a few more things we just got to sort out. So this is probably now going to run into another day. Sorry for not getting footage from today, but I promise I'll get some power runs for you on E85 for this video, so you can see how it sounds on E85 and what sort of power it makes. Righto guys, we're back here this morning, back into this GU, trying to get this finished off today. Before we move on to E85, we actually just put some more 98 back in it. We're just going to sort out a bit of the cruise area with some more timing. Because of these big cams, it sort of wants a bit more timing in those cruise areas. Get a little bit more fuel economy on cruise. So I'm going to do that, as well as set up the actual knock control through the Haltech with this thing. Now, we sort of literally just forgot about it the other day, that's why we hadn't done it yet. But this thing's still got the stock RB25 narrowband dock sensors in it, which it's going to be very difficult to set it up properly considering that it's solid lifted converted. So this thing has a lot of drivetrain noise. This is what I was telling you about the other day. So lots of drivetrain noise. It's going to be very hard to filter that out through just the narrowband sensors and filter in knock on its own without the noise. So pretty difficult to do, particularly with this sensor and Haltech setup. So we'll just see what I can do. It's not tuned on a ragged edge on their 98 tune anyway. The 98 tune's fairly conservative as far as timing goes. So I'm not super worried about it. It just, again, it's one of those things where, because it's a street car, particularly a four-wheel drive, Darcy's going to be taking it a lot of places, I'm assuming. So he may end up stuck in a position where he can't put good quality fuel in it, which is always the worry, which is why it's always good to have the knock protection in there in case he does get a batch of really bad fuel. Maybe he gets stuck somewhere he can only put 91 in it, which I would expect. Obviously Darcy would knows enough that not to go putting his foot in it if he can only put 91 in it. But either way, it'd just be nice to have the knock control there. So I'll do my best to set it up, but I know it's going to be pretty difficult. So I won't film any of this because it's all pretty boring stuff. But we'll get some E85 in it after that, and we'll start filming some nice big power runs. Righto guys, pretty successful day. We've been doing a lot of runs trying to get this really Mickey Mouse. This thing just wants to keep revving, and it makes sense obviously being an RB25 with these cams in it. It makes sense that the thing wants to rev. The only thing that really makes me nervous is the Patrol gearbox. I cannot accept that this Patrol gearbox is going to be happy at any more than what we're revving this thing to. So we're currently revving it to about 7.5. We've got the scale on the dyno's a little bit out. We are revving it over 7.5 on the Patrol, on the actual ECU. So it is revving and it's loving it, and it's only just starting to taper off at 7.5. But I reckon this gearbox is hating it at that sort of RPM. But E85, we managed to squeeze out 492 at 21 PSI. Very, very tempting to try and chase that magical 500 mark, but we discussed it, we talked about it, and we both agree that it's always that last few horsepower that ends in tears. You know, this thing, it's so close to 500, but I'm a bit nervous about trying to push it there. So I'm pretty happy with that. I reckon if you had it in something you weren't afraid to sort of rev, it'd be right. And you know, particularly if you had it in something that didn't have a GU Patrol diff, 32-inch wheels or tyres, GU Patrol transfer case, and then the gearbox, this thing would be making a massive chunk of power for 21 PSI. So super stoked with that. Darcy's pretty stoked. I had a chat to him before, so it's all turned out pretty awesome. Going off what happened today, I'm about 100% sure that we could push this thing a lot harder on 98. We reckon we could probably push it, you know, another maybe 2-3 PSI on 98. And also with the extra revs, even you just like yesterday we weren't even revving it, we were only revving it to 7.2 yesterday, and it's still climbing. So I think on 98 we could definitely push this thing further if we wanted to. But again, it's one of those things, like I was saying, being that it's a four-wheel drive, Dice is going to be driving around a lot, it's going to be hard to get really good quality fuel all the time. It's just one of those things where I don't think it's particularly worth it, pushing it that much harder on 98. But anyway, Dice is already talking about ripping this combo out and putting it in like a 180 or a S13 or a Skyline or something, and just building like another 3025 to chuck in this thing, just a stock bottom end unit sort of thing. So he is talking about that. I would be stoked to see this combo in a lighter car where we can actually try and push it closer to that sort of 550 over 550 horsepower. I'd be pretty happy to do that. But yeah, I'm just so impressed with these cams. Like 21 PSI, 490 horsepower through this driveline. These cams must be so good. So yeah, I'm pretty sure from what he was saying, they're a Tomei. It's hard because Darcy doesn't particularly know exactly what they are, but they're a Tomei 270-ish duration. No, they're not Camtech, they're Tomei. So the Tomei Pro Cams. So the Tomei Pro Cam, around 270 duration. I'm pretty sure they're a 1025 lift from what I've checked. Darcy was saying something about them being split. I'm pretty sure one's a 270 and one's a 260. But again, I can't confirm. I don't know. I'll see what happens. Yeah, I'll see what happens tomorrow. If I'm that, I might even rip these covers off and have a gaze at see what they actually exactly are. So all solid lifter converted. Like the head's actually been machined to fit the lift, and it's got all solid lifters and everything else in it. So pretty much the same as like a Neo spec, but with massive cams, and obviously built bottom end. But friggin' hell, I'm impressed with this. It's crazy. You see with things like this the difference between like a really high cost, good quality Garret Gen 2 turbo. The difference in the efficiency between, you know, like something that's actually good quality versus China. Like we always say, it's like, you know, China's awesome for if you're working on a budget. If it's either going to be China or aspirated, it's still better to go China, just to get that extra bit of power in your drift hack. But when you're looking at something like this, like the amount of flow that is happening here and how much it is being taken advantage of to make such good power, it's incredible. Like it's nuts that a 2.5 litre engine in this car with this driveline is making that sort of power on E85. It's just insane. So anyway, that's freaking cool. Hope you've enjoyed this video. About all we got left to do is tomorrow we'll chuck some of the 98 back in and just let it cycle through. Just make sure our mixtures are actually all right for those sort of middle areas between on 98 and the 85. So obviously all of those are lower ethanol blends. Make sure that our mixture is on point, but it should be pretty right. It's just some stuff to check tomorrow, but after that, she's good to go. So Darcy's got a bit of finishing off with it yet. Obviously the front bar and the bonnet and everything else has to go back on. Hopefully we'll see this thing fanging up the beach sometime pretty soon. And yeah, so far the gearbox is held on the dyno in 4th gear, loading up pretty nice and evenly. So we'll see how the gearbox goes. I wouldn't hold my breath though. But anyway, thanks for watching guys. Hope you've enjoyed. Peace out. See you boy. Oh, smash like, smash subscribe. Peace out. See you boy.